thevoicebeforethevoid.net. The Ending of a Desperado. From The Wilderness Hunter by Theodore Roosevelt. Read by The Voice Before the Void. One of my valued friends in the mountains, and one of the best hunters with whom I ever traveled, was a man who had a peculiarly light-hearted way of looking at conventional social obligations. Though in some ways a true backwoods Donatello, he was a man of much shrewdness and of great courage and resolution. Moreover, he possessed what only a few men do possess, the capacity to tell the truth. He saw facts as they were, and could tell them as they were, and he never told an untruth unless for very weighty reasons. He was preeminently a philosopher, of a happy, skeptical turn of mind. He had no prejudices. He never looked down, as so many hard characters do, upon a person possessing a different code of ethics. His attitude was one of broad, genial tolerance. He saw nothing out of the way in the fact that he himself had been a road agent, a professional gambler, and a desperado at different stages of his career. On the other hand, he did not in the least hold it against anyone that he had always acted within the law. At the time that I knew him, he had become a man of substance, and naturally a staunch upholder of the existing order of things. But while he never boasted of his past deeds, he never apologized for them, and evidently would have been quite as incapable of understanding that they needed an apology as he would have been incapable of being guilty of mere vulgar boastfulness. He did not often allude to his past career at all. When he did, he recited its incidents perfectly naturally and simply, as events, without any reference to or regard for their ethical significance. It was this quality which made him at times a specially pleasant companion, and always an agreeable narrator. The point of his story, or what seemed to him the point, was rarely that which struck me. It was the incidental sidelights the story threw upon his own nature, and the somewhat lurid surroundings amid which he had moved. On one occasion, when we were out together, we killed a bear, and after skinning it, took a bath in a lake. I noticed he had a scar on the side of his foot, and asked him how he got it, to which he responded with indifference. "Oh, that? Why, a man shooting at me to make me dance, that was all." I expressed some curiosity in the matter, and he went on. "Well, the way of it was this. It was when I was keeping a saloon in New Mexico, and there was a man there by the name of Fowler, and there was a reward on him of $3,000. "Put on him by the state?" "No, put on him by his wife," said my friend. "And there was this—" "Hold on," I interrupted. "Put on him by his wife, did you say?" "Yes, by his wife. Him and her had been keeping a faro bank, you see, and they quarreled about it, so she just put a reward on him. And so—" "Excuse me," I said, "but do you mean to say that this reward was put on publicly?" To which my friend answered, with an air of gentlemanly boredom at being interrupted to gratify my thirst for irrelevant detail, "Oh, no, not publicly. She just mentioned it to 6 or 8 intimate personal friends." "Go on," I responded, somewhat overcome by this instance of the primitive simplicity with which New Mexico matrimonial disputes were managed. And he continued, "Well, 2 men come riding in to see me to borrow my guns. My guns was Colt's self-cockers. It was a new thing then, and they was the only ones in town. These come to me, and Simpson, says they, we want to borrow your guns. We're going to kill Fowler. Hold on for a moment, said I. I am willing to lend you them guns, but I ain't going to know what you're going to do with them. No, sir. But of course you can have the guns. Here my friend's face lightened pleasantly, and he continued. Well, you may easily believe I felt surprised next day when Fowler came riding in, and says he, Simpson, here's your guns. He had shot them 2 men. Well, Fowler, says I, if I had known them men was after you, I'd never let them have my guns nohow, says I. That wasn't true, for I did know it, but there was no cause to tell him that. I murmured my approval of such prudence, and Simpson continued, his eyes gradually brightening with the light of agreeable reminiscence. Well, they up and they took Fowler before the Justice of the Peace. The Justice of the Peace was a Turk. Now, Simpson, what do you mean by that? I interrupted. Well, he come from Turkey, said Simpson. And again I sank back, wondering briefly what particular variety of Mediterranean outcast had drifted down to New Mexico to be made Justice of the Peace. Simpson laughed and continued. That Fowler was a funny fellow. The Turk, he committed Fowler, and Fowler, he rise up and knocked him down and tromped him all over and made him let him go. That was an appeal to a higher law, I observed. Simpson assented cheerily and continued. Well, that Turk, he got nervous for fear Fowler he was going to kill him. So he comes to me and offers me $25 a day to protect him from Fowler. and I went to Fowler, and Fowler, says I, the Turks offered me $25 a day to protect him from you. Now, I ain't gonna get shot for no $25 a day, and if you're gonna kill the Turk, just say so and go do it. But if you ain't gonna kill the Turk, there's no reason why I shouldn't earn that $25 a day. And Fowler, says he, I ain't gonna touch the Turk. You just go right ahead and protect him. So Simpson protected the Turk from the imaginary danger of Fowler for about a week at $25 a day. Then one evening he happened to go out and meet Fowler, and, said he, the moment I saw him I knowed he felt mean, for he begun to shoot at my feet, which certainly did seem to offer presumptive evidence of meanness. Simpson continued, I didn't have no gun, so I had to just stand there and take it until something distracted his attention, and I went off home to get my gun and kill him. But I wanted to do it perfectly lawful, so I went up to the mayor, he was playing poker with one of the judges, and I says to him, Mr. Mayor, says I'm gonna shoot Fowler. And the mayor, he rise up out of his chair and took me by the hand, and says he, Mr. Simpson, if you do, I will stand by you. And the judge, he says, I'll go on your bond. Fortified by this cordial approval of the executive and judicial branches of the government, Mr. Simpson started on his quest. Meanwhile, however, Fowler had cut up another prominent citizen, and they already had him in jail. The friends of law and order, feeling some little distrust as to the permanency of their own zeal for righteousness, thought it best to settle the matter before there was time for cooling, and accordingly, headed by Simpson, the mayor, the judge, the Turk, and other prominent citizens of the town, they broke into the jail and hanged Fowler. The point in the hanging, which especially tickled my friend's fancy, as he lingered over the reminiscence, was one that was rather too ghastly to appeal to our own sense of humor. In the Turk's mind, there still rankled the memory of Fowler's very unprofessional conduct while figuring before him as a criminal. Said Simpson, with a merry twinkle of the eye, do you know that Turk? He was a right funny fellow after all. Just as the boys were going to string up Fowler, says he, boys, stop. One moment, gentlemen. Mr. Fowler, goodbye. And he blew a kiss to him.